More on the hands of God. In a recent weekly word, I had mentioned that God had engraved or inscribed names on the palms of his hands. Today, I will cover that fascinating story from the Old Testament, the Bible. But first, as we know, that when we hold hands with someone close to us or those that we love, we talk, we listen, and we share information with each other. That's somewhat like this biblical story is about. We have to go back to the Isaiah chapter 49 to get the full story. So let's do that. Isaiah 49 talks about God's light to the Gentiles. The Messiah himself is introduced as speaking in Isaiah 49:16, stating the purpose of his coming and his rejection by the Jewish nation and the fact of his introduction to the Gentiles. In Isaiah 49:1, he calls the nations of the whole world to hear what he has to say. In talking with his favored nation Zion, in verse 14, God says he has forsaken and forgotten them. Then in verse 15, God says that he will remember them forever. Verse 16 assures them otherwise, as God tells Zion, quote, "See, I have inscribed you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are continually before me." Biblical translators and commentator Robert Lodge suggests that there was some practice common among the Jews at that time of making marks on their hands or arms by punctures on the skin. That's why God did what he did or said what he said. And it was some sort of a sign or representation of the city of Jerusalem or the temple to show their affection and zeal for it. Then in verse 22, God tells Zion what he will do. Quote, "Thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will lift up mine hand to the Gentiles and set up my standard to the people. And they will bring their sons in their arms, and their daughters shall be carried upon their shoulders." Then I want to close with Romans 11:25 through 27, where the Apostle Paul, a former Pharisee, tells what is in God's plan. Paul feels it is important to the words that you are about to hear, that I say based on Isaiah 49:25, so that you may not claim to be wiser than you are, brothers and sisters. I want you to understand this mystery. A hardening has come upon part of Israel until the full number of the Gentiles has come in. And so all Israel will be saved, as it is written, "Out of Zion will come the deliverer. He will banish ungodliness from Jacob." And this is my covenant with them when I take away their sins. I think it is just remarkable how Paul ties Isaiah 49:16 into what he said in Romans. And when you stop and think about it, Romans is Paul's last will and testament. So I ask you to take some time to read Romans, or at least that part of Romans. God bless you and have a good week, and I will continue with the hands of God next week.